Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mindy here, and today I'm going to talk about the new release by Kayali. They recently released a brand new fragrance. This is called Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper 25, and it's by Kayali. First observation here, and by the way, I received this yesterday. I received it right around 11 o'clock, so I did spend the past 24 hours or so playing around with this fragrance, and I wanted to share my first impressions with you. First thing I noticed right off the bat is that it is a beautiful bottle. It's stunning. I really love the design, and this is my favorite Kayali bottle yet. When Mona did her video on this release, she went into great detail about the notes in this fragrance, how she came up with the design of the bottle, and really what the idea was for this brand. So I definitely encourage you to watch that video if you're interested to learn more about this fragrance and the inspiration behind it. A couple things I'll call out, that she mentioned some of the inspiration of using a great deal of pink pepper in this fragrance was simply because pink pepper can trigger a scent memory, a mood, a memory of how you feel when you're falling in love. So I thought that was really a romantic way to build this fragrance, and I thought it was cute. Now, a couple other things, she mentioned that it's sort of citrusy, it's spicy, it has rosy notes, and a lot of contrast. It's sweet, spicy, and addictive, which I can see that as well. Now this is called Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper 25, and the 25 represents the number of modifications it took for her to come up with the optimal formula for this particular product. I am going to spray it on my hand right now, and I'll show you why in a minute. The next thing I'll notice, this has saffron in it, which I was really excited about. And the last thing that I'll mention here is that she referenced the fact that there is 25% oil concentration in this particular fragrance. So she referenced that typical in the industry is 15, 18, or 20%. And in this particular formula, it is heightened. It has 25% concentration, so that will make it a little bit more of a powerhouse if you think about it in terms of some of the other Kayali fragrances that sometimes have a reputation for being a little bit light or softer on projection. My personal opinion, my initial readout on that is that this will be strong projection, strong sillage. If you're looking for a powerhouse fragrance, this might be it. Before I dive into my impressions of this fragrance, I wanted to share some pre-work that I did on this. I really wanted to understand what the fragrance might smell like before I received it. So I looked at other fragrances with similar note profiles. First of all, I was very excited about the inclusion of saffron in this fragrance. I love it in other fragrances that I have. Eau de Dwell, Prerogative, Baccarat Rouge 540, and Instant Crush. It's just a beautiful note in those fragrances. So I was excited to see it here. Pink pepper is in fragrances that I absolutely love. La Nuit Trésor à la Folie, La Vie Belle Intense, and so I was curious if it had any sort of vibe from those fragrances. And then lastly, I looked at other fragrances that had the same base notes. So in this one is sandalwood, patchouli, musk, and amber. Other fragrances that I have that sort of base are Good Girl, Modern Muse, Nuit, and the Dolly Parton fragrance. Now it doesn't smell like any one of those, so I will mention that. There's a little bit of a similarity to Mancera Instant Crush, and I'll talk about that in a little while. One thing I'll call out here, I sprayed it on my hand a little bit ago, and I wanted to share, you can see, you may be able to see that there is a strong oil concentration in this one. It does look a little bit oily on my skin after I spray it, and that's just a testament of what was already shared, and that's that 25% oil concentration in this particular fragrance. Okay, so what does this smell like, you're wondering? The first thing that I pick up here is a very strong rose presence. There's Bulgaria Rose, Rosa Centrifolia in here, and if I said that right, I apologize if I did not. Mona Katan did go through all of the notes in great detail in her video, so I encourage you to watch that if you're interested. But I am getting a floral aspect here, a fairly noticeable floral aspect in this fragrance. I love saffron in other fragrances, and I do seem to be picking that up quite heavily as well in this one. The sweetness here seems to be a little refined, maybe a little bit deeper. It is a captivating sweetness. So when Mona references this one being slightly addicting, I would agree with that. I spent a lot of time sniffing my hands, sniffing the bottles, spraying this yesterday, doing side-by-side comparisons with other fragrances that I noticed similarities to, and so I'll talk about that as well in a few minutes. To me, there is spiciness in here, but it is well blended, and it's a really nice addition in this fragrance. It is not in your face. To me, this doesn't smell like any other individual fragrance, but it is reminiscent of other fragrances, so I did want to share my thoughts and opinions on that in the event that it helps you figure out what this smells like. They haven't created Scent TV yet, so I'm not able to, get this through my camera to your device, but I'll do my best to share some commonalities that I see against other fragrances in the hopes that helps understand what this is like. The first fragrance that came to mind when I was thinking about commonalities with Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper was Montale Intense Cafe. And I'm not surprised by the slight similarities here because in Intense Cafe, there's also floral notes, there's rose, there's white musk and amber. So some of that foundation behind the notes profile in Intense Cafe is similar to Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper. They both have a rose presence. They're similar, but it is a different overall scent. My reaction is that if you do like Intense Cafe, I think you would probably like this fragrance. My interpretation of this is that Intense Cafe and Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper are like cousins. They have some similarities, they have some relation to one another because of the notes breakdown, but they don't smell the same. I do think if you like Intense Cafe, this is probably one you should get your nose on and see if this one is for you. Now the next fragrance that came to mind when I was smelling this was Delina Exclusif. And let me be clear here, they do not smell the same. They do not smell the same, so I don't want people to misinterpret this reference as me saying they're the same. It's almost like they're a distant relative. So if you like Delina Exclusif, I feel like you would probably like this fragrance as well. But what I notice here is that Delina Exclusif is more tart. It has that really powerful oud note, at least I feel like I'm getting that from this fragrance, and Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper is toned down from that. It's a little bit more docile than Delina Exclusif to my nose. That oud presence again is not there. That strong tartness that you get from Delina Exclusif is not there, but there is some sweetness. It's a little bit more refined, and I think if you like Delina Exclusif, you would probably also like this fragrance. All right, the next fragrance that I'm going to reference, and I want to be very clear here, it is not the same as Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper. It is just reminiscent of, so it made me think of this fragrance, and that fragrance is Oud Bouquet. Now, in Oud Bouquet, you have vanilla, you have rose also, you've got a strong oud presence, and you also have saffron in that fragrance. Now, it made me think of Oud Bouquet, but with that oud pulled out. Me personally, I find in Delina Exclusif and in Oud Bouquet that oud note tends to be a little challenging to my nose and for me not totally likable. Totally understand they're very, very well-loved fragrances, but unfortunately they didn't work for me, and I find that this has some of those qualities that I like in Delina Exclusif and Oud Bouquet, but toned down, pulled back. And this is not a docile fragrance by any means, but it is more wearable and more likable to my nose than both Oud Bouquet and Delina Exclusif. So I hope I'm making sense here. I just, again, I just wanted to share some of the things that I'm picking up here and how I relate them back to other fragrances that I've been playing with in my collection. The next fragrance that came to mind when I was playing exhaustively with this one yesterday is Instant Crush by Mancera. Now again, they don't smell the same, but they feel like they could be a relation to one another. Now what I'm getting in similarities here is really that saffron note. If you like how saffron plays in Instant Crush, I think you would probably like it here as well. There is an aspect that has a similar vibe that I'm picking up. Again, not the same smell, but that vibe seems to be there. And if you like how it plays here, I think you might like how it plays here. To be totally honest with you, I was hesitant to share some of these comparisons. I thought about abandoning them because I don't like to get in other people's heads and then ultimately influence how they perceive the fragrance. So I'm just sharing with you my interpretation of what it smells like and what I relate it to. Again, take that with a grain of salt. This is my opinion and it may very much differ from your opinion. What I really like about the Kayali brand is they come out with unique fragrances that are different from other fragrances on the market. Vanilla 28 is a unique vanilla to my nose and I love it for that reason. And I find that with this fragrance as well. Sure, I made comparisons to other fragrances, but this one stands on its own. It is unique, it's different than other fragrances. I like the saffron play here. I think it smells really nice. The florals come together well, and I think this will be a really nice add for a lot of people to their collections. One quick call out, I played with this on a tester and I played with it on my skin. And when I played with it on a tester strip, I noticed that it was a little bit more tart, a little bit more bright, but when it was on my skin, it became more warm, it became a little bit more deep. So if you do come across this fragrance, I highly recommend testing it on your own skin instead of a tester strip to determine if it is the right fragrance for you. Now, another thing I'll mention briefly here is that I wanted other opinions on this one. I wanted to get some thoughts from my family. My kids said it was good and left it at that. My husband did not particularly care for this fragrance, so I did want to put it out there that this may not be on the crowd pleasability scale, not on the high end. You really want to smell this one before you buy it. I would recommend getting a sample, testing it out in the store if that's possible at Sephora, but try it before you buy it if you feel that some of these notes might be risky for you. Another thing worth calling out here is that this fragrance does have very strong performance. In comparison to some of the other Kayali fragrances that people have mentioned had soft sillage, soft longevity, I don't think you're gonna find that here. Projection seems strong, sillage seems strong, and this fragrance will fill a room. At least that's my interpretation. So something to keep in mind if you're looking for a beast mode fragrance, this might be it for you. So in summary, guys, I did want to share that I am a gourmandie. I have a type. I like those sweet, heavy, warm gourmands, and this is not in that genre. At least that's not how I perceive it. I do get strong florals here, and it doesn't really fill that gourmand need that I generally feel with fragrances. Yes, of course I'm expanding beyond that. I'm exploring other genres and learning that I love other genres as well, but this doesn't generally fit that profile that I love. And for that reason, this isn't a fragrance that I would probably be reaching for a ton. It's not a bad fragrance in any way. It just isn't one that falls into my typical preferences. One thing I am interested in trying though is layering it with the Kayali vanilla. That's something that Mona suggested doing, and I think that might sort of fill that need of having that gourmand vibe with this fragrance. So I will try that out, but again, I don't think this is one that I would reach for on a regular basis, and I'm gonna be debating if I keep it in my collection. At this point, I really want to keep fragrances that I absolutely love, that I reach for, that I wear, that I crave in my collection, and I'm not sure that this one will be that for me just yet. So I'll play with it a little bit more. I'll continue to update you on my experience with this fragrance, and please let me know your thoughts on this fragrance if you've smelled it. I haven't seen but 1 or 2 reviews outside of Mona's explanation of the fragrance, and really there hasn't been much on Fragrantica or the other platforms yet. So I'm really excited to see how other people are experiencing and interpreting this fragrance. Please share if you have some thoughts on this one. One thing I'd be interested with this fragrance, if they ever did a 26th modification, is if they added a little bit more fruit, a little bit of berries, some sweetness from that angle that might appeal a little bit more to my gourmand taste, maybe a little bit more vanilla or something along those lines. I'd be curious what that modification of this fragrance might smell like. Just a thought. Alright guys, that's all I have today. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Thank you for watching my initial first impressions of the Kayali Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper fragrance. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like this video. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I hope you have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be thankful for, and until next time, I'll see you soon.